Welcome everybody to this Let's Play of Final Fantasy VI. I am Drak. I am so happy to have you guys here because now we get to talk about the last and best in the Super Nintendo or 16-bit era of Final Fantasy and of Square. Now, people might remember Square owned RPGs back in the 16-bit era, and this is one of the reasons why. Now, I love 4, and I have a lot of nostalgia for it, but I cannot deny the greatness of this game. And let's go ahead and get started. Long ago, the War of the Magi reduced the world to a scorched wasteland, and magic simply ceased to exist. 1,000 years have passed. Iron, gunpowder, and steam engines have been rediscovered, and high technology reigns. But there are those who would enslave the world by reviving the dread destructive power known as magic. This still gets me every time. This is such a great opening sequence. Let's try and explain where we need to be as far as this narrative. Can it be those in power on the verge of repeating a senseless and deadly mistake? And that's how this game started. I mean, there's a reason that this is one of the biggest powerhouses that Square, or Squaresoft at the time, has ever produced. I love 4, but I cannot deny the greatness of 6. It has problems, but all great things do. There's the town! Hard to believe an Esper's been found intact there. 1,000 years after the War of the Magi. Why are you screaming? Think it's still alive? Probably, judging from the urgency of our orders. I don't know if they're supposed to have cockpits or not, so I'm like sitting here going, do I make it like they're yelling? And this woman, this sorceress, why's she here? I heard she fried 50 of our Magitech armored soldiers in under 3 minutes. 30 minutes, that's not a record. Not to worry, the slave crown on her head robs her of all conscious thought. She'll follow orders. We'll approach from the east. Move out! And here comes one of the main reasons this game is so iconic. I loved it when they showed this on the Game Station's anniversary. I think it was the 25th anniversary of Final Fantasy VI. And it's this whole walk to Narshe. Even though the Magitech armor does not look the same as it probably should as Yoshitaka Amano drew it, it's this march, it is this music that sets the scene for everything you need to know about this game. I've said it before, I'll say it again. I love 4. 4 is one of my all-time favorite Final Fantasies, but I can never not acknowledge the impact of Final Fantasy VI. Now, 3 here in America, but we'll get into the semantics another time. But one of the reasons that this went so well, like compared to 5, this is the game that pushed the envelope, that literally pushed the Super Nintendo to its limits as far as Squaresoft was concerned. Because we had utilization of Mode 7, we had these epic cutscenes, not the CG cutscenes, those are added later, and we are playing the PlayStation version after all. But also the fact that this was the first game where the sprite in the overworld and the sprite in combat were the exact same, to be able to make the entire world a proverbial stage. And I don't think enough praise can be stated at that time. Because at that time, we were used to a combat sprite and a overworld sprite, and we understood why the overworld sprite was smaller. And in this case, this was like the most innovative. There are many other features in this game that are innovative, but that was one of the biggest ones, especially when it came to telling a story, is that these sprites could actually tell a story now. They could react. They could emote. And that was a great thing back in the Super Nintendo days. Let's put her on point. No sense taking any risks. Forward! And so now we are going to march through the mine town of Narshe. Imperial Magitech armor! Not even Narshe's safe anymore! And this was another thing that made this game innovative. We'll see it later with other characters. Other types of mechanics in battle. You know, we played 5 games technically, because you have to acknowledge Mystic Quest, at least as far as battle engine, it was very similar. This one actually tried to say, no, we're going to have new mechanics, including this concept of the Magitech armor. The Magitech armor now takes over the attack button, and you get all of the abilities that the Magitech armor provides. Now, people might notice there is one mech in there, if you're brand spanking new to the series, that has more abilities than the others. And that's the one that's more advanced. Narshe's freedom depends on us! Oh yeah, there you go, a little sound bark. They didn't have to put in a little audio bark for dogs, but they did. To help you immerse into the story that much better. And so you'll notice that the mech that has the more abilities is actually Terra's. Now, or I spoiled it a little bit, but statute of spoiler limitations here. This game's pretty old. That would be Terra's mech, and there's a reason why it's so advanced. We'll go into that in a little bit. I don't want to spoil too much, because I already spoiled the character's name. And now, I'm going to preface this, because we'll get into it in a little while. I have some things to say about Terra. And those are some things that a lot of diehard Final Fantasy VI fans are not going to like. I've said them numerous times, I will say them here. And I will give as much towards my argument as I can, but there are going to be people that just don't agree with me, and that's fine. I have no problem with people loving Final Fantasy VI, or 5, or 3, especially if it was their first Final Fantasy game. I completely agree with you. I played Mystic Quest and completed it, and that's why it's a favorite of mine. Final Fantasy IV is a favorite of mine pretty much for the same reasons. Even though I didn't technically play it at first. We've got him trapped now! And it doesn't look like much, but this is basically us going in giant mechs and sieging a city. There's not really a whole lot you can tell with sprite art that wouldn't be totally advanced. I mean, we'll see some stuff a little bit later, but in this case, I mean, they could have literally done stuff where we were ripping into buildings, we were throwing things around, but they had to keep true to at least some of the tropes of the game. It's one of those things that I actually agreed, I can't remember when it was, probably right before Anthology came out for PlayStation, which was 5 and 6 together. They talked about doing a 3D version of 6. And I'm one of those people that would applaud that concept. Just because of the story. And the fact that the limitations were there. Even though they pushed the bar, there were still limitations in this game. You couldn't tell the story that they wanted to tell as fluidly. I think they still did a great job. But there are definitely some things that would have improved the aspect. We must defend the mines! And one of those is to put it in a 3D environment. It's one of those things that I've never gotten from Squaresoft. Like, we've had sequels for 4. Let's see, 4, 7. 7's had numerous sequels, including a sequel movie, and we're getting a remake. 10 has gotten a sequel. 11 has gotten expansions, because you can't really call those sequels. 12 got a sequel on the DS. 13 has had a trilogy of games. And I just have never understood why 6 has never gotten the sequel treatment. It deserves it. Or at least the remake treatment. I think at that point you'd be able to fix some of the problems, like with any giant or with any major game in a franchise, there is always room for improvement. According to our source, the frozen Esper was found in the new mine shaft. Maybe this one. And yeah, so you've kind of gotten a feel for our mission. We're looking for something called an Esper, and it's located in Narshe. So we are going to come and secure it for whomever we're working for. But yeah, I've never understood why 6 has never received a remake or a sequel treatment. I don't know if it's just because Square Enix thinks it might not be successful. I would really disagree with that. Especially since, I mean, I know people who call for a sequel to 6, to 9. Yeah, those are the main ones. I did remember seeing somebody wanting a sequel to 8. I'll handle this. Stand back. Yeah, you'll handle the sequel to 8? Yeah, no. Sequel to 8 probably shouldn't happen. But we'll get there when we get there. We won't hand over the Esper! So we know it's an it. Welk, get them! Okay. And so here's another addition here. Hold it! Think back to our briefing. We have in-game cutscenes, roughly. What about it? Do you recall hearing about a monster that eats lightning? Well, she's 7 games down the line. And stores the energy in its shell. Well, she wouldn't fit in that shell. Besides, she has a gun. Right, so whatever you do, don't attack the shell. So this is basically like a repeat of the Mist Dragon in Final Fantasy IV. Alright already! That's the other thing that I do like about 6, is that it does interject a little bit of humor with its tutorials and has some fun with it. This is a ginormous play as far as Sakaguchi was concerned, and all the world's a stage. So yeah, I hate to toot this horn consistently, but yeah, 6 should receive a treatment. 6 should receive a remake. I actually honestly believe that if we're going to remake a game, 7's had sequels. Okay, here's the problem, and I know people are not going to agree with me on this. 7 has had its sequels. 7 has had its time to tell its story. 6 has not. 6 had one game. And I still hear about people who are like, I think Gerard the completionist admitted this. He, as his final assignment, like his, I believe it's like his thesis or whatever for his degree, he used Final Fantasy VI as his medium to be able to do that. That is awesome. Just because there is a lot of storytelling elements in Final Fantasy VI, and it does tell a lot of different story kind of arcs. This game is huge. I remember, and one of the things I kind of remember is, like, we used to rent these kinds of games back in the day because, you know, games were $60. It was really difficult to justify it to our parents unless it was a Christmas gift. You know, we got Final Fantasy IV because it was a Christmas gift and because we had rented it numerous times. When we got 3 at the time, or 6, I remember we, I think it was my brother who basically, I was being brought over for some visitation with my dad, because at that point my parents were divorced, or in the process of a divorce. And I was brought over, and I remember him basically complaining, going, dude, I can't finish this in 3 days, you know, which is like how long you had to rent. He's like, I can't finish this game in like 3 days. I can't even get a good chunk into it. I actually have to buy it. And I think that was kind of the thing that started the whole, not craze, but the tradition in my family of, like, for the games that we loved, we would stand in line for a pre-order. And I believe this was the game that kind of started it. 7 was kind of weird because we couldn't get together to do that, but I know 8, we did it, and my brother did 9, and then we did 10. So it's one of those things. This game has created traditions for my family. So it's obviously my opinions are kind of biased, but I don't care. This game is good. And I really do think it deserves more treatment than it has received from Square Enix. I don't know why they haven't done anything with it. I don't know if Sakaguchi holds it against them, but then again, I mean, I'm sure there are some rights in 7 to him, and he has no problem with Nomura remaking 7. And people know my opinion on the Final Fantasy VII remake. I'm not on board. I will play it, but I'm, especially now with what I'm hearing about it, the episodic stuff, the fact that we're going into more of a Kingdom Hearts system, I'm already telling you it's not going to be as good as the original. But I will review it, and we'll see how well it goes. Because I'm really worried about that one. Alright, so we just barely defeated Welk, and here is, I guess, the Esper. This is the frozen Esper. Okay, so that is what an Esper looks like. So in case you couldn't tell yet, mechanically, Espers are summoned creatures in this game. Hey, what's the matter? Do you know something we don't? Ding! That's what we know. Ding. And for some reason, she's reacting. The frozen creature began emitting an eerie light. What could that be doing? Where's that light coming from? Ah! Hey! Wedge! Where are you? What's happening? Ah! Uh-oh. They've been banished to the end zone. And apparently we had to make things go boom. Because that's always a good idea in a coal mine. So we don't know what happened. I mean, why did we react that way? Why did this girl who has said nothing up to this point react this way? Although we know that she's kind of a slave at that point. Where am I? Whoa. And I only just removed the crown. Head hurts. Easy. This is a slave crown. The others had complete control over you while you were wearing it. I can't remember a thing. Don't worry. It'll all come back to you. In time, that is. And this is a way to introduce the new characters. A mysterious young woman controlled by the Empire and born with the gift of magic. I'd like to introduce everybody to Tara Branford. Yes, I am a nerd, and if you didn't already know that, welcome! You must be new here. My name is Tara. Impressive. I've never even heard it. I've never heard of anyone recovering this fast. Uh-oh, we've been discovered. Open up! Give us back the girl and the Empire's Magitech armor! Open this door! We want that girl! She's an officer of the Empire! Empire? Magitech armor? Look, I have to get you out of here. I don't have time to explain. Over here. So obviously, there's some reason to fear her, but we don't really know why. Make your way out through the mines. I'll keep these brutes occupied. So basically, we're going to take the door. And this will let us into a different route into the mines of Narshe. She's up there! Okay, so we definitely don't want to get caught by these guys. Now, I know this part is going to seem a little bit short, and there's no real dialogue or updates. I had that problem with the previous week, too, and I apologize, but that's just how this first time is going to go about. We're introducing the characters. We're going through the story. We'll make some updates as we go along. I know that I've already said that there's going to be some things to say about Terra. I would like to get a little bit further into the playthrough before I start saying them. So don't take that the wrong way. But yeah, we got plenty of business to talk about, but that'll have to wait until next week. And actually, I do believe we're probably coming up on that time. So, oh, there we got an encounter. Oh, crap! And also, you might have noticed that we have a unique mechanic. We still have magic, which even in the Magitech armor, Terra did have. So, which is interesting because we just had this whole this whole prologue of magic is dangerous. Why is she using it? But yeah, we're coming up on that magical time, people. I hope you guys have enjoyed part 1, and we will see you guys next week for more Final Fantasy VI.